we're going to be having a deliberation on national issues. Of course, a lot of things are unveiling across the country as we prepare for 2026, which is expected to be the campaign year across Nigeria. Remain your host, Mr. Alpha Christian Oche on People's Parliament. And tonight we are taking a look at a number of headlines, starting with the 2026 tax bill, where Rep member Dasuki has raised an allegation that the version of the bill that they passed into law is quite different from the version that President Bola Tinubu has signed into law. That's a crime. Yes, it's a crime and it's a very serious offense, which in any sane society warrants imprisonment, starting from the president. Yes, because that is breach of trust, that is forgery, and globally, forgery is a very dangerous offense that is not being overlooked. Again, the Nigerian government is under introspection. We are observing to see how this matter will go. The Minister of Defense for States, Matawalle, has come under serious allegation by his aide while he was governor of Zamfara State. The aide affirmed that allegedly the Minister of State for Defense, Matawalle, procured vehicles, motorcycles, as well as cow feeds that were disbursed to terrorists in Zamfara State while he was governor. And in the allegation, the person throwing this allegation was a former PA to Governor Matawalle while he was governor of Zamfara State. And he raised allegation, very clear one, and that he has more to say when invited to the courts. Until this moment, we are still waiting for the response of the appropriate authority in this regard. Of course, Ribadu is also under another allegation, where it was reported by Sarah reporter that all the way in Kwara State, Matiala members with ID cards were caught in the forest, carrying out the atrocious activity of kidnapping. They were caught in the act. And what does the NSA have to say in terms of no Ribadu? No Ribadu said they are forest guards, and that the federal government is aware of them. Aware of them to do what? Forest guards should be domesticated, not having imported Fulani herdsmen or imported Fulani terrorists guarding a forest in Kwara State. How justifiable is this comment? This call for holistic investigation. And all these kind of circumstances, allegations, complicity, state-sponsored terrorism have led to the U.S. laying a partial ban of U.S. of our visa to Nigeria, because the government seems to have a lot in its hand in terms of transparency. They are not transparent. Corruption, they are there. Terrorism, they are there. So they have made everything difficult for them to be believed by international community, which has led to the partial ban that has been placed by the U.S. government on Nigerian visa application. This is the first time we are having this. It's so sad. The Kwara States, because we have discussed it, Ribadu should be investigated. Matawalle should be investigated for their involvement in all these allegations that are beginning to spring up. They should be investigated. Sweeping it under the carpet will not heal the land, will not stop the terrorism until these guys are investigated and if found worthy, should be prosecuted according to the laid down laws of the land. All the way from United States, the convener of Africa Arise, Mike Arnold, has revealed a comprehensive report carried out by his team of Africa Arise in Nigeria, where they have conducted a study on IDP camps in Abuja, spread across Abuja, and all the IDP camps were numbered. Their locations were disclosed. The number of persons that are rendered homeless in the IDP camp are there. Everything has been documented. And the shocking aspect of it is that having a whopping sum of over 12,000 to 18,000 internally displaced persons in these camps spread across the Federal Capital Territory is not just shameful, it shows lack of government readiness to attend to the needs of the people. This is a catastrophic internal challenge that have been long abandoned and neglected by not just the Nigerian government, even the UN. The UN has since denied the existence of IDP camp in Abuja, whereas the evidence are there, the locations are there. As a matter of fact, they have previously carried out need assessment of these IDP camps in Abuja, but nothing, absolutely nothing was done. So the UN also deserve to be investigated. Their team on ground in Nigeria deserve to be investigated. What have they been doing? There have been no any form of support, zero support, according to the reports compiled by Mike Arnold. That is all we have for the IDP situation in Abuja. Of course, I'm no more surprised that we're having the worst situation in Benue State, where IDPs spread across the states, according to reports, where we have over 600,000 IDPs, and the state government feeling free. A part of the reports forecast conducted by the team of Africa Arise, ably led by Mike Arnold, is that having these internally displaced persons in the society, their children have no access to school, no access to formal education, no access to formal training, so they lack skill, they lack education. At the end of the day, they are a potential tool for future terrorist recruitment, which compound the national security issues that Nigeria is currently facing. Meaning we are going to have multiple challenges to cope with as time goes by. This is the kind of future. So you can see the future is not just blinking, the future is doomed until something very serious and strategic is done about the crop of people that are leading this country, because they cannot give clear-cut destination of where they are leading Nigeria to. And of course, Bola Ahmed Tinubu tax reform, back to it again, has come under very serious criticism by notable figures across the country. Particularly, Mr. Kutobi has come wading his support, his advocacy against the tax regime, demanding that the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should come out clean and disclose every segment of the tax bill to Nigerians. There should be transparency, that's what he's talking about. So the government should do what? It should come out to Nigeria and address Nigerians on all aspects of the tax reform. Because Nigeria cannot be led into doom without knowing all the nitty-gritty of the tax. They have been so handed over to the French government. When was the last time the French government handed over their tax collection to Nigerians. If since 1960 until this moment, the fires Federal Inland Revenue Service that is saddled with the formal responsibility of collecting tax on behalf of the Nigerian government have been sidelined from carrying out her statutory responsibility. Now, Bola Tinubu has recruited a French firm to handle tax of Nigerians. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Will you not fall to the AES government, the AES region, the governments, including that of Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and of course, other African countries that begin to rise and take over their government militarily? Will you see their fault? Will you blame them with what is happening? Bola Tinubu has proven that he is a puppet to the French government. How will you hand over tax collection of your country to another country? Where is our sovereignty? Is it only when the US want to intervene on security matters, where terrorists have taken over the majority of northern villages, and the US say enough is enough for the genocide against Christians, they want to intervene and end the terrorism? That is when the Nigerian government remember that they have sovereignty to defend. In this instance, where a foreign government is now officially given the responsibility to be collecting tax on behalf of Nigeria, is that the promise that Bola Tinubu has promised Nigeria during the campaign? Is that where he's leading us to? These are questions begging for answer. And of course, Farouk Ibrahim, okay, debt servicing. Debt servicing is another one, very shameful. How can a country dedicate 105% of our national income to debt servicing? Yet the same country, we have our politicians riding on longest convoy you can imagine, with needless able-bodied securities filling up all the van. Why? Why all the needless extravagant spending? There is no prudence by this government. They have not proven to be prudence in their management of scarce resources. They spend the money lavishly and they go ahead to borrow another one. It is on news already that 17.89 billion naira, 17.89 trillion naira loan will be taken to be able to service 2026 budgets. The question we should be asking is, the previous loan that were collected since 2015 until date, what have they done with it? What has the APC government been doing with this loan? We cannot tell. For what purpose this loan are being collected, and for what purpose they are being utilized. The funds are being wastefully stolen from the purse of the federal government of Nigeria. This is very, very bad. I wonder how one can put his head around running a country like this. You don't run a country on debt. How do you make progress? You can't make progress because the terms of these foreign loans are so dangerous and so tricky, so slippery that you must have negotiated a better loan terms. And of course, being able to utilize this loan for the development of the country, for the productive sector that will be able to repay this loan without having any challenge. So again, we'll be looking at Farouk Ibrahim. Farouk Ibrahim has been accused of paying over $5 million for his children's school fees in advance. I don't know. And Dangote has gone further to submit his allegation, to submit his petition to the ICPC against Farouk Ibrahim for this atrocious corrupt practice that his entire salary put together is less than the amount he has paid for the children's school fees overseen. So he should come out clean to explain to Nigerians how he is able to raise this huge sum of money. 10 billion naira is enough to develop a state in Nigeria. So how is he able to raise this kind of funds to pay school fees in advance for his kids overseas? They need to answer for this. Harrison Wamishu, the tech guy, the passionate Nigerian that have been involved in tackling kidnapping menace, particularly in Edo, Delta, and the southern region of Nigeria. They have been very, very prominent in leading team of security men into the forest by the radar of these robots that he has so developed. And he's able to locate these terrorists without wasting any officer, without wasting any life. They're able to locate terrorists and take them out and rescue these kidnappers and victims. But the Nigerian government are confident that they have a problem with his service, and he has since been arrested, put to detention. In a very civilized country, in a sane government, what should have happened is to invite Harrison and give him all the necessary support, absorb him into the Nigerian security system so that he can train others. But in this instance, what do we have? The young man has been arrested and put in detention. And what is his crime? The federal government is here to make that known. The same government that failed to fight and end insecurity and kidnapping is now arresting Harrison for his very wonderful job that was commended by community dwellers on how he has saved them, rescued kidnapped victims without paying a dime. But the Nigerian government are told that they have a problem with that. You can see now that Abacha was right when he said, should an insecurity thrive for 24 hours, the government have an hand in it. And from all indication, all that is happening across the country, it's very clear that the Nigerian government have a hand in this insecurity, in this genocide that is ravaging the country. So we're proceeding to another funny scene. We are a rep member of Zamfara State has been put under serious attack. As a matter of fact, members of his constituency massively attacked him in his home for failing to scrutinize Bola Tinubu bills that he has so far presented and all his policies that have not been working in favor of the masses. And the masses his members of his constituency are very angry that over time he has not been able to raise his voice to demand for positive policies that work well on the people. And if that could happen to a rep member who has failed to perform his statutory responsibility of asking relevant questions on the floor of the Nigerian House of Representatives, you can only imagine what will happen in 2027. Should any INEC official or government official attempt to rig election? That would be very, very bloody because as it is now, the street is not smiling. Also, we were looking at the next item, US travel ban. Of course, Donald Trump has always been clear about what he's going to do. and he has started implementing it. It's left for a country that is serious to adjust to it. They cannot continue to do business with any country that tolerates terrorism and normalize terrorism in their country. They cannot do business with. That's what that means by this ban on Nigerian visas. Nigerian visa applicants have been banned partially from applying for visa, US visa. This is another ugly development. Then I will now be taking a commentary on a very national, global issues that have affected certain segments of the country, in particular Israel. Israel has come under a very difficult moment in their development where we have them being massively attacked by different members of Hamas and all her sympathizers. You know, Israel in the Middle East have been fighting tooth and nail to defend themselves over the years. And that has been their only source of survival until this moment. They've been victim of different attacks. The reason I always made them to respond because they have one primary obligation to defend themselves as a country. So the recent what happened in Australia, where people who are alleged to be from the Muslim Brotherhood attacked a team of Jewish who were celebrating their Hanukkah, and that has formed global headline. So we in Copden, we are going to be taking a very serious stand against it through this press statement. Australia failure to protect its Jewish community is condemned. Australia failure to protect its Jewish community reflects a dangerous pattern of state complicity, a tragedy parallel with Nigeria. That is what happened in Australia is a reflection of the Nigerian situation where officials turn the other way and pretend not to look, while the country, the community keep burning down. So the incidents of anti-Semitism attack is very, very, similar to the Nigerian situation, where officials have always watched, sitting idly by, do nothing, while communities are being attacked. Even when they are informed, they are invited, they put up late response. So we unequivocally condemn the anti-Semitism attack in Australia. That attack targets members of the Jewish community. This barbaric act of hatred is a direct assault on human life, religious freedom, and the principles of democracy that Australia claims to uphold. Yet, condemnation alone is insufficient. The Australian government must confront the uncomfortable reality that repeated failures to act decisively against rising hate, extremist rhetorics, and threats to minority communities amounts to complicity through negligence. When government fails to prevent foreseeable violence, ignores foreseeable violence, ignores threat alerts, this leads to what? Violence against minority group. It is condemnable by all and sundry. So, ignore warning signs or respond weakly after attacks. They create an environment where hatred thrives and perpetrators feel emboldened, right, to continue to carry out their atrocious acts. This failure mirrors the tragic and well-documented experiences in Nigeria, where successive governments have repeatedly failed to protect citizens from targeted violence against religious and ethnic communities. In Nigeria, hollow condemnation, selective In Nigeria, hollow condemnation and selective justice and the absence of accountability have normalized bloodshed. Australia must not follow this. Australia must not be seen to follow this negative precedent as being occasioned by the Nigerian government. Hollow condemnation, selective justice, and the absence of accountability have normalized bloodshed. That's been established. Australia must not follow this same path of denial, excuses, and performative outrage. Complicity is not only the act of pulling the trigger, it is the failure to enforce the law. When there is a law of the country and the government fails to enforce it, that is complicity, right? And it is highly condemned. And any government that is found wanting in this act of complicity deserves to be called out and be asked to do the right thing. So we stand in firm solidarity with the Jewish community in Australia and with all communities worldwide who are targeted because of their identity, the religious identity or national identity. We demand that the Australian government acts decisively through credible investigations, prosecution, and concrete security measures, rather than empty statements. Government lose moral authority when they fail to protect all citizens equally. Human life, freedom of worship, and security are non-negotiable. Are non-negotiable obligations of the states, no doubt about that. Any government that fails in this duty must be held accountable by its people and by the international community. So this commentary has been put together to condemn the act of silence on the part of the Australian government. That silence is not the best way to tackle this spread of hate and anti-Semitism that is targeted against the Jewish people. Anti-Semitic attacks are not isolated crimes committed by fringe actors. They are the predictable outcome of state failure, political cowardice, and deliberate and moral compromise. History has proven again and again that violence against Jewish community intensifies not merely because of hatred or on the streets, but because governments allow the hatred to grow unchecked, legitimized through silence, selective enforcement of law, and calculated indifference. These are things that breed this anti-Semitic attack against the Jewish population. In the contemporary world, from Europe, pogroms to the Holocaust, from post-war denialism to modern-day synagogue shootings, anti-Semitism has always followed the same pattern. Dehumanization first, violence second, and excuses afterwards. These are the patterns where anti-Semitism attacks have thrived. Governments rarely claim responsibility outright. Instead, they hide behind bureaucracy, human rights, context, or false neutrality while Jewish community bury their dead. This cannot allow to fester. In the contemporary world, anti-Semitism attacks are rising sharply, targeting synagogues, schools, cemeteries, homes, and public gatherings. Yes, yet state responses are often weak, delayed, or deliberately diluted. When perpetrators are treated as misguided, remember in Nigeria there is this statement that coming from the northern folks, where they say the Fulani terrorists or the Boko Haram, even according to the number one man in the country then, President Muhammadu Buhari, who said the Fulanis are his misguided brothers. Are you seeing the trend in this reportage? So that when perpetrators are treated as misguided protesters rather than criminals. So this cannot continue to fester when anti-Semitism slogans are rebranded as political expression and Jewish victims are asked to remain calm, right? While the attackers are rationalized, the state ceases to protect them and becomes an accomplice in this case. The government that has the capacity to act and fails to do so is an accomplice of anti-Semitism attack anywhere in the world. Government complicity takes many forms. It appears when leaders refuse to clearly name anti-Semitism for fear of political backlash. It appears when security agencies fail to provide adequate protection despite known threats. We are aware that there is likelihood of threats as government official, yet we fail to act, right? That is another level of complicity. It appears when perpetrators hesitate, sentences are lenient, right? And investigations quietly die down. Cases of this magnitude get thrown under the carpet. The matter just die down like that, giving room for more likelihood of such cases happening again. Most dangerously, it appears when anti-Semitism is excused as resistance, dissent, or cultural expression, granting ideological cover to violence. There is also complicity in double standards. Jewish communities are often expected to demonstrate restraints in the face of terror to prove their innocence before being believed. You ask the Jewish community to remain law-abiding so that they will not worsen their case, so that their innocence will be made known to the entire world that they are peace-loving people. Whereas the attackers are being shielded, their investigations are being delayed, or outrightly knocked out, or neglected at the end of the day. So these are some of the issues that are affecting the Jewish community globally. This unequal application of empathy and justice exposes the deep-rooted bias within political systems that claim to uphold human rights. So I will stop here for the day and continue to advocate that the world cannot afford to miss out of peace, because if peace evades the world today, there will be chaos everywhere. So all worthy factions must understand and appreciate the fact that peace is a prominent factor that we should choose. Hate on the grounds of race, color, religion have no any moral ground. The world must continue to look up to peace and work towards peace as a way to live in a multi-dimensional, in a multi-language, multi-religious settings across the world. On this note, I'll be wrapping it up for Problem People's Parliaments until we come away another day. Do have a pleasant day ahead. Thank you. I remain your host, Mr. Apple Preston, otherwise known as Day Process. See you next time. Bye-bye. Remember to click on the subscribers button, subscribe to Problem Media TV, so that we'll keep the conversation going towards making the world a better place for everyone. Thank you and bye-bye. Subscribe to Problem Media TV. Bye-bye.